Let's talk a little bit about education loans. And so we're going to start with the federal direct loans. As we mentioned, those require the FAFSA, and the college determines eligibility. So how much subsidized and unsubsidized, that's something that the college determines. For students, there's two types. As we mentioned, the subsidized loan, the interest is paid by the government while the student's in school and during a 6-month grace period after graduation. The unsubsidized loan, the student is responsible for the interest while they're in school. Only undergraduates are eligible for the subsidized loan. It is based on the student financial need, which is why it is the college who determines that, because they determine the financial need. And the maximums are based on the student's year in college. There's entrance counseling that the student has to do before their first loan is dispersed, as well as a master promissory note. Most of those are completed online. With the exception of the master promissory note, there are some schools that would prefer a paper version, or a borrower could request a paper version to be sent. And the post-secondary institution will instruct the student on how they will complete it. They may see it as a task from their financial aid office that needs to be completed. It does not need to be completed until the student has chosen that school. So we do not want students applying for federal direct loans for all the schools they were accepted to, only to the school that the student is deciding to enroll in. I mentioned that there is eligibility based on the student's year in school. So second year, unlike the first year at $5,500, the second year is $6,500 for a dependent student, then $7,500 for the junior and senior year. For independent students, their eligibility is higher, so it's $9,500 the first year, then $10,500 the second, and the third and fourth year, $12,500. That is based on a student's number of credits earned. So it's not necessarily the year in college. Like, I've been in 4 years, but I've been part-time. It's by the credits earned. So they might be a sophomore or junior if they were part-time. There's also this thing called the Federal Direct Plus loan, and PLUS was short for Parent Loans for Undergraduate Students. So calling it a PLUS loan seems like we're adding an extra term. It's like calling an ATM machine. But it's available for parents and dependent undergrad students, as well as graduate or professional students, to help pay for college or career schools that are eligible for federal student aid. It's commonly, as I mentioned, called the PLUS for parents, but it's the Grad Plus for graduate students. The maximum PLUS loan is the cost of attendance at the college or trade school minus the aid offered. There is a credit check and an endorser alternative for that. Some college will list the Parent Plus eligibility on financial aid notifications. And what students see is, I'm all set. I have all the aid I need. But all of a sudden, there's this $13,000 or $20,000 Parent Plus loan on this financial aid notification. Students don't realize that's a loan that their parents have to borrow, and they may or may not choose to borrow that loan. They may or may not be able to pay for that loan. And when thinking about a Parent Plus loan, it's important for families to think about, how long is the student going to be in school? Is this a 2-year process? Is this a 4-year process? And those PLUS loans are in the parents' names. So even if a student agrees to pay those PLUS loans after they graduate, it's the parents who are getting billed. It is the parents whose credit will take a hit if the student misses a payment. So every year there's a different interest rate for these loans. Once a loan is dispersed for a student, that is a fixed interest rate forever for that loan. So this year's direct loan, the interest rate for an undergraduate student is 6.53%. The origination fee is 1.057%. What that means, the origination fee usually covers the cost of servicing that loan and getting the loan to the school. And so what that means is that the amount the student borrows is not what's going to get paid to the school. So actually, for that $5,500 loan, the student might see $5,442 paid. For a Parent Plus loan of $5,000, you can see they have a higher origination fee and a higher interest rate. A plus loan of $5,000 might show $4,789 coming through, split up by 2 semesters, if the college is a semester process. And so sometimes students, when they have planned this to the dollar, or parents, when they have planned this to the dollar, have not taken into consideration those origination fees, and they may contact you and say, wait, why do I still owe this much money? That could be why. There's also non-federal loans available, and they're for eligible students who need education financing beyond the federal student loan. We always say, get those federal loans first. They have, for students, they have protections, they have, deferments available. There's public service loan forgiveness. There's all sorts of things for these federal loans. Take those out for students. And then if you need a private loan for the rest, they can choose a private loan lender. We have a great brochure called My Education Loans. People can order that on our publication pages. And it's really great information that VSAC put together with college financial aid offices, with parents and with students. It's not a VSAC get our loan vehicle. It is much more of a here's what you need to know when you're borrowing education loans. And so we recommend that you visit our site to also look at loan calculators, maybe compare total costs. We have a student loan and parent loan. So there's a lot of resources out there, but we want people to be able to choose the program, the loan that works best for them. When people are comparing non-federal loans, they want to think about things like interest rates, whether it's fixed or variable, what fees are involved. For instance, VSAC, I'm familiar with VSAC loans because I work for VSAC. We are a fee-free loan, but other lenders, it might not be. What are the repayment options? And are there other benefits? Like, is there an interest rate reduction if you do auto pay? Is there a cosigner release? So most high school students are not eligible to borrow a non-federal loan without a cosigner. They just don't have enough of a credit history. That cosigner can get a release from some loans after a certain number of payments. So it's really important to find that out and see how that can be done and make sure that the student meets those criteria. Any questions about loans? Again, we'll have a lot of resources on our website in that Ed Pro page where people can learn more about them, as well as links to some of the programs to help federal loan borrowers.
And I just want to reiterate that many students will say, oh, I will borrow a loan for the rest, not understanding that $5,500 is the limit of what they can borrow as dependent students that first year. And then the rest will likely require a cosigner to get a private loan or a plus loan. And it would be great for everyone to understand that as well and help their students understand.
Right, and at VSAC, we call them co-borrowers because in reality, a cosigner is a co-borrower. They are on that loan, their credit is impacted. So it's very important to remember that if there's a cosigner, that they are responsible if the student does not end up paying. Stacy, would you like to take on short-term training?
Sure.